Hey guys, my name is Jason with Mount Baker Mining and Metals. So a lot of my subscribers have been asking, where have you been? We haven't seen videos from you in a while. Well, I've actually been out here. I just bought 50 acres and I'm working on getting it cleaned up, doing a little logging. I bought this skidder you can see here behind me. And so today I just wanted to give you guys kind of an update on what I've been doing out here on my property. We're going to go cut some trees, get the skidder going, and yard some logs to the landing. And then once we get our trees on the ground and yard to the landing, I'll show you how to scale a tree and figure out how much each one's worth. So let's go do a little logging. All right, so we'll start here. This cedar tree here behind me, we're going to take out. And what I'm really working on, I'm not going to clear cut any of this. I'm going to do kind of what's called timber stand improvement. And so you can see from this tree, if we look up here, the top's been broken out of it, and it's got a bunch of these little false tops. And so that tree is not going to be worth very much, and leaving it there isn't going to make it worth a whole lot more money in 20, 30, 40 years. So we're going to take it out, and then in the spot where it's shaded out right now, we're going to end up planting some trees back, and probably my kids or my grandkids will end up cutting them down for their retirement. So the first thing is we've got to figure out which way the tree's leaning, and I know you won't be able to tell from the video, but it's actually leaning off this way. So I'm going to put a little face cut, a little Humboldt cut here, and then come in with my back cut, and we're going to drop it pretty much 90 degrees to the camera. And then we'll get her limbed up, bucked up, and skidded to the landing. So it's not the prettiest face cut in the world, but it'll do. And it looks like the backside's a little rotten there. But now I got my face cut in there. It's called the Humboldt, where you take the wood out of the stump instead of the tree. So now I'll come back in here and I'll do my back cut. Might have to drive a few wedges. But I'll set my camera out there about where the tree's going to fall and see if I can get this thing falling. All right, we got her. Got her down on the ground. Here's a quick look at our stump. Not the prettiest thing in the world again, but that'll work for us. And here's our tree. So I got to get this butt here flushed up. The mill doesn't like it when you leave all that stuff in the bottom. And then we'll walk down the log here, get it limbed up, bucked up, and we'll see what we got. All right, well, let's take a look at our log. It's not as good as I hoped, but I've got my butt here flushed off real nice. Got her limbed up with what I can. And then the top here, I knew this would be bad, but I didn't realize it'd be this bad. And where the top had broke out, you can see there it's gotten rot, and it rotted down through the top of the tree. So I just kept bucking off in about 2-foot sections trying to find the end of the rot. And it's about here. There's still a little bit there, but I've got a length that I like. So I'll get the skidder over here and get this log choked up, and we'll drag it to the landing, and then we'll scale it. But I think I'm going to take this cedar right here that's dead in the top. It's not going to amount to much. It'll probably be all dead here in the next year or two. So I'll take that, hopefully get 2 logs out of that one. And then with this big log, and we'll skid all 3 to the landing and do some log scaling and show you guys how to determine the value of a log. All right, guys, here's my next tree. And all the branches are hanging off on this side. It's standing up pretty much straight. But since the weight's all on this side, I'll fall it out 90 degrees. And lucky for me, I got a big open field there. So I'll fall it out there pretty much. Same thing. Humboldt face cut, back cut, and we'll tip this thing over. All right, here's our tree from the top, walking down it. Like I say, see, this one was dead in the top. Still some green on the bottom, but it wasn't long for this world, so we'll get that taken. And we might get, I don't know, two logs out of this one. But unlike that other one, this one's got pretty easy branches to limb up, so this will go pretty fast. That other one had a bunch of those false tops coming out, and they were big and hard to limb up, so I'm just going to end up walking down the log here, limbing it up down to a top diameter of about 8 inches, maybe 7 if I need to go a little bit longer for the log. The mill likes a real certain length of log, so I'll show you how to use a log tape here once I get it limbed up. All right, guys, we got our tree all limbed up. So now let's take a little walk here, and we'll turn this into a log. So the way this works is the mill has certain specs on the logs they'll take. I'm going to leave all these branches to decompose and turn into fertilizer for the next round of trees. But the mill wants a certain top size, a certain length, and they pay based on the length and the diameter at the top. So I'm going to walk all the way down here and figure out where the top size is about 6, 7, 8 inches. And that's right about here. And the way I can find that out without cutting it is I take my logging tape. I'm measuring around the circumference of the log, and it's 1 foot 10 inches right here at the end of this loop is 0. So it's 22 inches, and to get the diameter is pi 3.14 times d, the diameter. And so what you get is, if you multiply 6 times, I usually go about 3 1/4 or 3 1/3 for the bark, because the bark doesn't count. So 6 times about 3 1/3 is 20 inches or so, 21 inches. And here we have 22. So we're right about 6-inch diameter at the top. I'm going to bucket here, and then we'll measure out a couple lengths. I've got more than 40 feet here, so I'm going to turn this thing into 2 logs. But let me get it bucked here, and then we'll measure out our 2 logs and figure out how to get the most out of this tree. All right, so here's the top where I bucked. I cut a little wafer out of it so I can get my tape in here. And you go inside of the bark, and we've got 6 inches there, a little over 6 inches. So that's the minimum the mill will take. If you send anything with a top of less than 6, they won't give you any money for it. So we'll see what we can get out of this log with a 6-inch top. All right, we're down here to the butt end of the log. I take my spike and shove it in the tree there, and then I can just walk down this log. My tape stays and I can get a good measurement on it. So what are we at here? We're at 37. I just want to get the overall length here. There's 47. It's a 50-foot tape. So there's 50 on my foot. And then sometimes if you give it a little shake, and then it coils back up for you, and I can say, okay, here's 50. Going down to our 6-inch top. I've got 16.6, so I've got a 66.5-foot log here. All right, now here's the mill scale sheet, and I want to show you guys what I'm talking about. This is cedar. We're cutting Western red cedar here. Here's the length, so you get price differences for each. So if it's 8-inch plus the top, 16 to 22 feet long, they'll give you $1,000 per 1,000 board feet. MBF is 1,000 board feet, and I'll show you how to calculate that in a minute. And then if you can make it longer, 24 to 30, it's 50% more. 32 to 34 is more, and 36 to 40 is $1,900. But for this log, since it's 66, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make two 33-foot logs. And what that means is I have to leave 10 inches of trim on each log. So when they say a 32, they really mean a 33-foot log. And this worked out just perfect to have a 6-inch top, 33 feet long, and I can get exactly 2 of them out of there, and they'll be worth $1,750, $1,000. So let me get it trimmed up, and then we'll get them scaled and figure out how much money these 2 logs are worth. Okay, there's our 1970 John Deere 448 skidder warming up. I think it's 50 years old or more. But I used her to push the log out of the way so we could get a good measurement on it. So let's get a measurement here on our log. So this is the top. You measure them from the top. And I like to go 2 inches there, all the way across is 13 inches. I think you can see that. But I gotta subtract 2, so that's an 11-inch top. And it's 32 feet long is what the mill's gonna pay me for. So let me get out my spec sheet here. We'll take a look at how much that log's worth. All right, guys, well, I was editing that video and I realized I read my tape wrong. So it's actually 13 inches at the top. I subtracted 2 inches twice. So we come down here, 13 inches, and it's a 32-foot log. It's actually 190 board feet. And when you come over here and you look at the scale or the log buying chart, it's 32-foot log is $1,750, $1,000, and that works out to be about $330 for that one log. Let's see our other one. These ones with the small tops don't scale hardly at all, but we'll come down here at 32. That's 50. So this one right here, the top log, is 50 board feet times $2. It's almost $100, $90 log. So we got about $325 worth of log here. And we'll get her, let's go over and take a look. We'll scale that big one over there, and then we'll get her hooked up to the skidder and pulled to the landing. Okay, so this one here, this is the big one we did first. And there's gonna be some deductions on this one because it's so rotten at the top and stuff, but 20 inches, it's 24 feet long. So this thing has 420 board feet in it, but it's 24 feet long. So we're gonna be somewhere in here to here. They'll probably give me 20 foot on it. So let's just scale that at 20. So they'll probably pay me 350 board feet for it. And it'll be a short log, so that's $1,000. So this log right here is $350 right there for that log. So what's that? $600 and something dollars, $675 for an hour worth of work. Now let's get them yarded to the landing and pushed into our pile. Okay, get her in gear. We're in second. Here's the blade up and down. Pick our blade up. Emergency brake off. Well, the choker just slipped off. It hardly ever happens. It only happens when I'm filming. So I'll put the camera over here on the log and you can watch me yard these up and skid them out of here. My bell's under there and I can't get to it, so I gotta winch it up and try and turn it. There we go, got them all unchoked. Now I'm gonna come around and just push them up into this pile with the blade. All right, guys, we talked a little bit earlier about timber stand improvement, and I want to elaborate on that a little bit. Up here, you can see this tree right here is a birch, and it's rubbing on this Doug fir next to it. And the Doug fir is worth a lot of money. The birch isn't worth hardly anything. And let's see if I can do this. And there's a birch, there's a birch, there's another one. And so timber stand improvement essentially means get the trees out of the way that aren't worth very much money, so the more expensive or more valuable trees can grow up. And so we're going to take the birch out that are rubbing on the more valuable trees, and we're also taking off some of these birch that are shading out areas that we want to replant with Doug fir and western red cedar here in the next couple weeks. So I'm going to knock down all these birch, get them out of here. They're not worth very much money. There is a mill around here that'll take them. But you can see here there's just a bunch of junk. So I got to get all that knocked down, and then here in this little field, we'll get it all replanted with some trees that are going to be of value to, like I said earlier, the next generation, not me. I'm going to be long gone by the time they're harvested, but this will be the retirement account for my kids. All right, here's a look at that first birch that's rubbing on that Doug. And it's hard to see against the sky there, but I'm going to drop that one, and I'm going to try real hard not to drop it on that stump right there. So I'm going to try and drop it just on this side and see if I can do it without breaking it, because that first log that's up there is actually going to be worth a little bit of money. But the other thing about these birch trees is, you know, there's ones over here too. They don't live very long. So they've got 40, 50 years in them. And then, like, that's a good example. This is all rotten in the top and it's broken, and that tree's about dead anyway. So we're going to take him out. Well, I got a hell of a mess going here. So here's my birch. You can't see it, but it's hung up there in that Doug. I've cut all the holding wood off. Got a couple wedges in there. Can't get it to go over. It's hung up too much up there in that fir top. So I'm going to get the skidder. I'll wrap a choker around here. I'll park the skidder back over there somewhere and see if I can just winch it over and pull it out of that top of that Doug. Oh, what a pain. All right, so I got that first birch drop there, and let me drop the rest of these little ones, and we'll get them cleaned up. But yeah, those birch, those hardwoods are the ones you got to watch out for because they get hung up. The branches up on top can be rotten and fall out of there like spears on you. So those are the dangerous ones. But yeah, I'll drop the rest of these, and then we'll get them bucked up and skidded out of there. All right, guys, I wanted to show you here real quick what I'm talking about with these birch. Here's that one that got hung up in the dug fir there. And the stump doesn't look too terrible, but here's the rot in the butt log. And this is the most valuable part of the whole tree is this butt log. Let's see, there's a big hole there. And I chased the rot all the way up the tree, probably in the first 16 feet. So the first 16 feet is total crap. Here's a little bit of rot, but I stopped here. They're probably going to ding me because I needed the length to get my first log out of it. And so you can see why I'm taking out these birches, even though they're big and you know there's a lot of wood in them. They're not going to last much longer. I mean, they're already rotting down the center. They're going to fall over pretty soon, and I'm going to get what value I can out of them, get them out of the way. So when we plant trees all through here, we're not going to lose any trees if one of these big birches come down. But I've got birch dropped all over the place. I bucked what I could out of it for logs. So now I'm going to go get the skidder and yard out what I can and get a stack at the landing. So we'll take a look at the landing here when I get all these yarded out of here. All right, guys, so there's our pile of birch and hardwood at the landing. Got it all skidded out. So now I got to call the log truck and get a load out of here. But that's it for me today. So I appreciate you guys watching our video. And just because I'm out here in the woods doesn't mean we're not going to see any more mining or recycling or crushing videos from us. So stay tuned for some of those. But I appreciate you guys watching, and see you on the next one.